بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد يا عباد الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته يا مرحبا بكم. In today's episode, بإذن ta'ala, we want to look at a tremendous characteristic that each and every one of us we should be striving to implement and to establish بإذن ta'ala. It is one that unfortunately it is rare in our day and time, unfortunately. In any event, let us get to it. We want to look at al-wafa. We want to look at wafa'uhu sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We want to look at the loyalty, devotion, and integrity of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was one who he kept his word. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was one who he fulfilled his contractual agreements. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was one who fulfilled the clauses of agreements and the like. The ulama of the deen, they mention al-wafa'u, that the meaning of al-wafa'u, then it means itmamu al-ahd, then it means to fulfill a contract, wa akmalu sharuta, and it means to fulfill its prerequisites or to fulfill its clauses, to carry out and to fulfill the clauses of a contractual agreement or of a contract, and to fulfill these things. Now, this within itself is something that I want us to reflect on, because unfortunately we have many that are always trying to get over. They're always trying to get over on the system, play the system, and look for loopholes and things like that. Whereas we should be honoring our agreements. Now, we should be of a people who honor our agreements, and we should be known to be as such, as a people who honor their agreements, a people who do not break their agreements, but a people who honor their agreements, who honor their contracts. The ulama, they also mentioned that al-wafa sidqul lisan, that al-wafa, this means to have a truthful tongue, that we have to be of those who are truthful. I know we spoke about this many times before, and bidnillahi ta'ala, we'll speak about it many times again, because as Muslims we have to be truthful. We have to be of people who tell the truth. So al-wafa sidqul lisan, it is truthfulness of the tongue, wal amal ma'an. So listen, this is to be truthful in speech and in action together. To be truthful in speech and in action. Now, so that your words don't say one thing and then your limbs do something different, but that you are truthful in both speech and action. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was truthful in both speech and action. And this characteristic is a very important and intrinsic characteristic of the human beings. The ulama, they mentioned that al-wafa'u huwa mukhtassun bil insan, that this is something that is specific to the human beings. فَمَهْمَا فَقَدَ الْإِنسَانُ الْوَفَاءَ, and when a human being loses their integrity, they lose their characteristic of loyalty and devotion. When the individual loses their trustworthiness, when they lose their trustworthiness and their truthfulness in both speech and action, because remember, al-wafa, all of this aforementioned enters into it. So when a human being loses this characteristic, فَقَدَ حَظَّهُ مِنَ الْإِنسَانِيَّةِ أَصْلًا, then he loses his portion of humanity. He loses his portion of humanity to begin with. Now, so al-wafa, this is something that is tremendous. And of course, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the most excellent example in this. The most excellent example of loyalty can be seen in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The most excellent example of devotion can be seen in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The most excellent example of integrity can be seen in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in this, we want to look at an example from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that highlights this. And the example that in bidnillahi ta'ala I want to focus in on is the devotion and loyalty that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he had to his wife Khadija, our mother, radiyallahu ta'ala anha. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he was devoted to our mother Khadija, radiyallahu ta'ala anha. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he was devoted to her both in her life and after her death. So, you know what? It's real easy for us to listen to things and then we walk away from it as if it doesn't relate to me, not being able to connect the dots into our particular lives. So what I want us to do with Ilahi Ta'ala is I want us to really look at this example here, because this is an example of al-wafa. And I want us to look at this. For those who are married, I want you to look at this and what is going to be mentioned. I want you to ponder upon this as relates to your spouse. I want you to think about this. Are you loyal to your spouse? Are you devoted to your spouse? Because undoubtedly we should be loyal and devoted to our spouses. Now, this is a good thing. This is not a corny thing. It's not an old-fashioned thing. This is a good thing. It's how human beings are supposed to be. The mere fact that you have individuals out there that are married and are not loyal to their spouse, yeah, subhanallah, you wonder why we have all these problems in society. If the home is a mess, society is going to be a mess. If the home is a mess, society is going to be a mess. In any event, are you loyal to your spouse? Is your spouse loyal to you? The Prophet ﷺ, he was loyal and devoted to our mother Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha. And I want you just to ponder on this, just for a sidebar, for a quick second. Let's step away for a second and say this one point. Is that loyalty, it does not include a lack of the implementing of polygyny. No. A person could be loyal and marry other people, and you're loyal to each of your wives. Now, this is okay. This is good. But in any event, we want to just say that to put that out the way, because I don't want anyone to come and try to use that and say, well, see, this means that. No, it doesn't equate into what you may want it to equate into, unfortunately, for you who are looking for the wrong things, or fortunately for us who are looking for the right things, right? Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ, he was so devoted to our mother Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha in the most praiseworthy and excellent of manners. فَمِنْ شِدَّةِ حُبِّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم لخديجة, from the extreme love that the Prophet ﷺ, from the intense love that the Prophet ﷺ he had for our mother Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha, كان يحب ما يذكره بها. He used to love those who used to remind him of her. Shaykh Raslani mentions that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to love the ones who used to remind him of Khadija. Naam. And an example of this can be seen in that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to become very happy when Hala bint Khuwaylid Ukhtu Khadija, when Hala, the daughter of Khuwaylid and the sister of Khadija, when she used to visit the Prophet ﷺ, he used to get very happy. Na'am. He used to get extremely happy to the point where you can see it on his person. You can see it in his face. You can hear it in his words. He used to get very happy when Hala used to come by. So much so that when she would be knocking on the door and asking for permission to enter, the Prophet ﷺ, due to his extreme happiness, he used to say, Allahumma Hala. He would say, meaning, Ya Rabb, ij'al al-musta'dhin fi ad-dukhul Hala. He would say, this is what it means, that he would say, oh my Lord, let it be Hala. Let the one who's trying to ask him to get in, let it be Hala. Oh Allah, let it be Hala. Naam. Why? Because she used to remind him of Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha. And this is a very good thing, but it shows what the devotion and the love that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he had to Khadija even after her death. Now, because loyalty and devotion is not something that will end just when a person dies. Person dies, okay, it's over. That's it. No, but that love, that loyalty, that devotion, you will still have it. The integrity that a person they will display inside that relationship, it is that which transcends death. It goes beyond death when it's for real. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to love Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha so much, and he used to talk about her so much that Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, another wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of our mothers radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha, as it comes in a hadith that is muttafaqun alayh. قالت, our mother Aisha, she said, ما غرت على أحد من نساء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما غرت على خديجة. She said that I was never jealous over any of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam like I was jealous for Khadija. Now, and then listen to this. She said, وَمَا رَأَيْتُهَا. And she said, and I never saw her. I never saw her, but I was so jealous of her. Now, so this is another important point to show you that what? That it is okay for a woman to be jealous. If her husband practices polygyny and he takes more than one wife, it is okay for the wives to be jealous. But a jealousy that is within the bounds, a jealousy that is within the religion, a jealousy that is shari'i, a jealousy that is legislated, not a jealousy that goes overboard, not a jealousy that says if you marry her, I'm going to divorce you and take all the children, you're never going to see us again. That's not a praiseworthy jealousy. That's not a jealousy from the deen. Does that sound like the jealousy that our mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha that she had? No way. Okay? So this has to be known. Okay? The jealousy has to be a jealousy that is shar'i. Has to be a jealousy that is legislated. It has to be a jealousy that's in the parameters of the religion. So our mother Aisha, she was jealous. So for women to be jealous, no problem. It's okay. You could be jealous. But you have to control yourself and measure the extent of your jealousy. And you have to filter your jealousy through the book and the sunnah, through the deen of al-Islam. In any event, our mother Aisha, she said she was jealous of our mother Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and she never saw her. Why? Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as she goes on, she says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to mention her a lot. And even after her death, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to mention her a lot. Our mother Aisha, she went on to say that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to mention her to such an extent. He would say, "Innaha kanat wa kanat wa kana li minha walad." She would say she used to do, she was like this and she was like this and she was like that, and I had children with her. Now, our mother Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she said, كَأَنَّهُ لَمْ يَكُنْ فِي الدُّنْيَا إِمْرَأَةٌ إِلَّا خَدِيجَةٌ. She said it was as if there was no other woman in the world except Khadija. Now, this was the love and devotion that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was still shown to our mother Khadija even after her death. So this level of loyalty, this level of devotion, this level of being loyal to one's spouse, this level of showing love to one's spouse, this is something that is an extremely important characteristic. The Prophet ﷺ, he demonstrated that and he illustrated that. How many hadith do we have of the Prophet ﷺ speaking good about his wives and interacting with them in a good manner and so on and so forth, and showing them love, showing them extreme love. Now, because this is how it should be. We should be loyal and devoted to our wives. The Prophet ﷺ, as we know from the famous hadith, he said that if you see a woman in the street and she arouses any type of desire, then go home to your family. Now, then go home to your family. Because what? Because they have what they have. Huh? Go home to your family. Yeah, subhanallah. But we live in such a time with such a people that have such hearts that they don't even want to go home to their family because they have disgust for their family. What is this? They have disgust for their family. They'd rather be with anyone else but their family. What kind of love and devotion is this that you're showing to your family? And then when that type of energy is reciprocated, then what? Yeah, subhanallah. What type of situation are we in where the women, they are not loyal to their husbands? Where the women are not loyal to their husbands. They're not lowering their gaze, but they're gazing and they're gawking after every man that they see. Oh, look how handsome he is. Oh, he's so cute. oh, look at this one. Oh, wow, he fitna for me. Yeah, subhanallah, you're a married woman and you speaking like this? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And then you wonder if that energy is reciprocated now with your husband, then you're going to have a fit. Yeah, subhanallah. What is wrong with the people right now that the loyalty is something that is almost non-existent? What is wrong with the people right now when you find a woman that is loyal, everybody want to hold on to her? Why? Because she's a rare commodity. She's a rare commodity. How many sisters were iyadhu billah planning their marriages while they still in iddah? Subhanallah. This is the type of loyalty. This is what it's about. This is to the extent. All of this is not good. But we have to be a people who we are loyal to our spouses, that we are loyal and devoted and respect our families, and that we are and show this type of integrity to others. Now, and I bring the example of the family because the example of how the Prophet ﷺ, he used to keep his trust and he will honor his agreements with the kuffar is well known. How the Prophet ﷺ will keep his trust and he will honor his agreements with even his enemies, those who are at war with him. This is well known. The way that the Prophet ﷺ, he will keep his trust with the people. This is well known. The way the Prophet ﷺ, he will honor his agreements is well known. All this is well known. The way the Prophet ﷺ, he had integrity. You didn't fear from him any type of weird behavior or any type of treachery. No, you didn't fear that from the Prophet ﷺ. But rather you knew that it was going to come from him, that he was going to honor the agreement and he was going to treat you in the most outstanding of ways. Now, the reason why I focus on the family is because this is an easy test to see now. How loyal are you really? How loyal are you really? What type of integrity do you have? Do you have integrity when it comes to your family? Do you have integrity when it comes to your wife? For the women, do you have integrity when it comes to your husbands? Are you devoted to your marriage? Do you understand the importance of the institution of marriage and thus honor it and act in a manner that is appropriate? Or are you like the rest of these unfortunate individuals who are running around in our day and time, who don't have hardly nothing of what was aforementioned? In any event, this is just a snippet from the life of the Prophet ﷺ that highlights an outstanding characteristic that we will serve ourselves good if we were to imitate him in it and implement it inside of our lives. Until next time we meet. Astawdirukumullah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.